Hello, everyone. It is I, the alcoholic audio engineer, former alcoholic, I like to think. Um, but, that's what people in recovery programs usually do, right? Especially what AA, they never stop saying, I am so and so and I am an alcoholic. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that now. The purpose of this short video is to just briefly go over the bare minimum requirements to begin tracking and mixing and producing audio at home, whether that be music or you could use these principles for other things. You could use it for podcasting, video, sound production, but I'm going to be focusing on music because that's what I do. So, bare minimum requirements. And I'm going to start with bare minimum. By the way, I should, I kind of thought that I'd make it a point to do this at the beginning of every video, just kind of get up in the camera and wave and give a thumbs up. I'm a real person. I'm not an AI. I'm not AI generated, and I don't use AI in anything I do, or at least I try not to. I don't know if they're. Sorry about the extraneous noise. I've got a very sensitive microphone here on a tripod that is a little bit noisy. So please forgive that. I'm going to be sorting out audio issues as I go along with this. For example, after I make this video, I'm going to be listening to the levels, figuring out if there's too much extraneous background noise feeding in. This microphone has a podcasting feature. It's a sound canceling feature. If I hit the button on the back, it cancels any and all background noise, and I think that the resulting signal is a bit attenuated. I might have to get closer to the microphone for a clear signal, but this is going to be my A/B exercise to determine what to do with that. But for now, I'm just going to take off the sound filter and see how this video turns out at a normal microphone setting. It's a quite sensitive mic. I'll be talking about microphones in a bit. But we're going to start with the bare minimum. The bare minimum. Uh, an external microphone is not actually the bare minimum. All right? Um, wow, that's a lot louder without the noise canceller. All right, so I'm going to put this back down here. Bare minimum, I suppose, would be a computer. Whether it be a laptop computer, well, I guess it would be, if without an external microphone, it would be a laptop computer. Let me adjust the angle of this mic here, point it a little bit more towards my head. This is not an omnidirectional mic, so you want to point it at your source as directly as possible, but it does pick up a lot of, it'll pick up noise of, the leaf blower or the weed whacker going outside even if windows are closed. Anyway, super bare minimum setup. If you've got a laptop with an internal microphone, which they all do, you've got a microphone. And while that little tiny microphone might not give you anywhere close to an optimal input signal, it will give you something that you can work with. And here's a principle this is a bedrock principle for home audio recording. It's all grist for the mill, okay? You can be as DIY as you want. Anything any sort of input signal, as long as it's not total cacophonous noise, uh, you can use. It just depends on what you do with it. Even if it's total cacophonous noise, you can use that too, if you're creative enough. Anyway, I digress. Bare, absolute bedrock minimum, a laptop computer with an internal microphone. On top of that, you're going to need, there's the, I think you can hear the, that's the landscaping guy outside. He's running some kind of machine. Anyway, so you need a DAW. A DAW is a D-A-W. If you are already familiar with all this terminology, you might even want to skip this video if you have some experience in all this. This is for total neophytes, total beginners. So you need a DAW, a D-A-W. D-A-W, DAW, stands for Digital Audio Workstation. It's just a term that refers to any sort of computer software multi-track audio recording program or suite. Now, there are many, many out there. You might have heard of some of them. You might have heard of Pro Tools, which is kind of like the so-called industry standard, Pro Tools. Pro Tools has been around since the beginning of digital audio recording. They do have a free entry-level version. There are lots to choose from. There's Logic, there's Cubase, there's Ableton, there's lots out there. That's a great thing. You actually have a lot of choices and you don't have to pay one thin dime. Often for way more capability than you're ever going to need as a home audio recordist. All right? The one that now, way back in the day, I used to be a home audio recording hobbyist. That's before the booze really kicked in and other things in life took over. And I put all things musical aside for years and years, and only came back to it when it became clear that in order to preserve my life and stay on the planet for however much longer, I was going to have to stop the booze. And that's why I got back into all this. After several years hiatus, I was pleased to come back and learn how many options there are out there and how much more streamlined and easier it has become to sort of dip your foot in the pond or just do a cannonball and jump right in, as it were. It doesn't cost you a dime. There is a little bit of a learning curve, but it's not bad, especially if you've got some help, someone to kind of like walk you through some of the steps and save you a little bit of headache along the way. What you see here on my monitor is a DAW called Cakewalk. And in my opinion, out of the DAWs out there that are available for free download and use, it is the easiest. It has the most straightforward and intuitive UI or user interface. That's in my opinion, my experience. This is what I use. This is what I'm going to be teaching how to use in these tutorials. So, bare minimum, a laptop computer with an internal microphone and Cakewalk, downloaded and installed absolutely for free on said laptop. Obviously, you're going to want some earphones or speakers, something to listen, something to monitor what you're doing. That goes without saying. But that said, I'm going to go ahead and switch this to what you should be seeing right now is Cakewalk opened to the project, the song that I posted called Passing Through. This is what that mix looks like in its entirety. That's it. This is a pretty sparse, pretty modest mix. There's not a lot going on here. These are the tracks. You can see they're numbered here. 1, 2, 3, all the way down to 12 tracks. That's not really a lot. And you can see that there are only 3 of them that more or less go through the entirety of the song. The first one is the loop. That's a drum loop. Some people will, trash talk drum loops and drum machines, and don't listen to those people. Sometimes they're saying it out of snobbery, sometimes they're saying it out of ignorance. There's nothing wrong with a drum machine. There's nothing wrong with a drum loop. Nothing whatsoever wrong with it. It can be perfectly serviceable, especially in context of our goals and expectations here on this channel. I do plan to make another video called Goals and Expectations. In our sphere of goals and expectations, there's nothing wrong with a drum machine. There's nothing wrong with a drum loop. There's a lot that you can do with drum machines and drum loops. And, even like John Lennon. People like John Lennon, his song Mother and other songs that he did, they were drum machines, primitive drum machines. He knew how to take a drum machine and put it to effective use. I don't have access to a drummer. I don't have access to a drum kit. Even if I knew how to play drums, I don't have access to a drum kit. I don't have the money to rent a studio space with a drum kit. I am stuck with a drum machine and drum loops, and I'm perfectly happy with that limitation. Anyway, I digress. This is the drum loop. It goes throughout the entirety of the song. This track number 2, entitled RNF I-24. RNF I-24 is the name of an effect in my audio interface. I just titled it that so I remember that that's the guitar track using that effect. It's just a reference. But it is the main guitar part, as I explained in the description of that of the Passing Through track. That started out as a scratch track. It was something I just did on the fly because I found something cool in that effect setting. I found a chord progression that I liked, and I just wanted to commit it to that recording so I could come back later and maybe do something with it. Well, I ended up liking it so much that I built the entire song around that scratch track. That's one of the cool things about this process. You never know. You have ideas how you're going to go about things, but it never seems to go the way that you conceive of it initially. Anyway, that's the main guitar part. Tracks 3 and 4, these little green bits at the beginning, that's called intro swell. And that's exactly what that is. It's you can see that the guitar part right here where it's gray, that's quiet. The guitar hasn't begun yet. The drums begin from the very beginning. You see this kind of like escalating staircase of dots right there. That is the volume drawing track. That's where the drums are fading in, and then the green line is the basic volume of the drum track throughout the song, which is at 0.0 decibels. I'll be explaining levels later. As the drums are fading in, there is this intro swell. And then there's other parts. One I called low vox L for left, low vox R for right. Vox means vocals. high vox, high vocals. So these are different vocal parts. There's another vocal guitar part I call it octave, high swell, high swell, high swell, chimes. These are just little, these are very subtle layers that I added. Very, very subtle. I'll be getting more into the mix itself as we go along, but I'm just kind of trying to familiarize you with the user interface of Cakewalk. You have a number of tracks. This is the timeline at the top here, this ruler at the top. This is the timeline. Up here is the, you can see it's 0.00, blah, 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 all zeros. It's the very beginning of the track. Here is the, this right here is where you are in the track in terms of time. I can stop it right there, and we're at 2 minutes, 47.843 seconds right there. All right. Click. Here we're at 1 minute, 55.600 seconds into the track. So this is on the x-axis, it progresses through time. On the y-axis, I think that's right, horizontal is x, vertical is y, we've got our tracks. At this particular point in time in the track, in the project, this octave track is at this point. This guitar track is at this point. This drum track is at this point. They're all playing at the same time. They're layered one on top of each other, right? So if you have any experience with Photoshop, it's somewhat like Photoshop in terms of layering, okay? Now these are waveforms. These are parts that can be clicked on and moved around like objects. I'm going to undo this as soon as I do it, but like this is the main guitar track, the original scratch track here. I've selected it. I can move it around. I can move it to another track. I can move it up and superimpose it on the drum track. I can move it down here. I can do whatever. Now I'm going to undo all that, of course, because I want it right back. It was Control Z, undo. I want it right back where it started. By the way, up here on the upper left-hand corner, there's Cakewalk project title passing through. Now there is an asterisk after the title of the track. That means that the changes have been made. It's a reminder to save. This DAW Cakewalk does not auto-save. If you have a crash and you have not been saving your progress, all progress that you have made since your last save will be lost. So save frequently and often. Even though I don't need to save it right now, click save, and the asterisk disappears. It's saved. All right. Okay, so again, you've got your tracks on the left. These are channels, right? This is a channel. I'm going to expand it. This is the drum loop. We've got some things here that I'll go into later. All right, I'll be explaining all this, what all this means, how to use it. I'll be explaining what all this means over here in future tutorials as we go along. But this is part of the bare minimum setup that you need to begin tracking and recording and mixing audio. What else? Again, I'm going to be explaining this UI in more detail, this DAW in more detail, but let's say that you just decide to go out in the next 5 minutes and download and install Cakewalk and fire it up. What then? Let's say that you just want to see if the bear dances, so to speak. See if you can just just record yourself saying, Rumpelstiltskin, testing 1, 2, 3. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Up here in the left-hand corner near save, there's import there's all these buttons. Preferences. This is one thing that I love about Cakewalk, the UI. It's very, very at your fingertips, very intuitive. What I'm about to show you here is in Cubase. It's a royal pain in the ass. It's a frustrating and irritating learning curve that you're not going to have in Cakewalk. Preferences. Click it. Bang. We've got input drivers and we've got output drivers. Input signal, output signal. This is as straightforward as it gets, folks. Input drivers, I've got, here's my microphone, my external microphone that I'm using now. It's called Titan Studio Pro. I do not have it selected as an input driver right now because there's some background noise from the Cakewalk project that would impinge on this video and get in the way. So I've got the microphone input turned off right now. There's microphone from other sources. Microphone Realtek High Definition. That's my laptop my laptop computer's internal microphone. If you were going to start out just with your laptop and Cakewalk downloaded, installed, and fired up, and you wanted just to see if the damn bear dances, all right, and you can get 10 seconds of audio recorded, and you go, wow, that was easy. And then you got something that you can, even if it's just 30 seconds of goofing around with something, you've got something you can play around with and have fun with. And that's the other thing to remember is never let this become stressful. This is all, it's supposed to be therapy. It's supposed to be relaxing, enjoyable, fun, creative, all that stuff. Anyway, you've got a laptop with an internal microphone, hopefully a halfway decent sound card. It's not too old. Sound cards these days, if you've got a relatively recent computer, this one is a gaming computer. It's an MSI. It's 5 to 6 years old. It's got an NVIDIA GeForce sound card that's perfectly fine for my purposes. I have no complaints about it. This is what you would click. You'd click Realtek High Definition, whatever your laptop's internal microphone is called. You find out what that is and you click on it. Click. And then, okay. Oh, and by the way, output drivers, I've got that set to my my Titan Studio Pro microphone. You can see that it has a headphone output in the back. So everything that I say through this microphone, I'm monitoring it through these headphones, through the microphone. All right. So anyway, onward. I click OK, and let's say that just for shits and giggles, I decide that I want to add some kind of like lo-fi layer to this project. And in order to get kind of a lo-fi feel, I want to use a lo-fi microphone, namely my internal laptop's internal little tiny computer microphone, which I've selected. Track 13 is unnamed, it's unused, it's not taken. So I'm going to expand that, and I'm going to arm the track for recording. Hopefully this works. If it doesn't, it just means that there's a little glitch somewhere that I got to go iron out, but it should work. This red dot right here is the record button up here. Okay, this is going to rewind, play, pause, fast forward, record. This is a record button. This track has to be armed for recording. I'm going to click this to go back to the beginning of the project. In order to arm or to enable this track for recording, I'm going to click this red dot. Record. You can see the little tag that pops up. Record off. Boom. Record on. Now you can see these jumping green lines here. That's a relief. I think it's working. That means that Cakewalk is receiving an audio input signal from my laptop's internal microphone. This input that you see in this jumping green line here is not coming from my external USB microphone. It's coming from my laptop's internal microphone. Now, I am going to hit the record button. And actually, I'm going to, I don't want to hear the other tracks while I'm doing this. All right? I don't want to hear anything else except for, as I'm recording this bit, I don't want to hear anything else. So I'm going to hit S. S stands for solo. That means I'm only going to hear this channel, this track. Everything else is going to be M, muted. All right, so I click S. It all goes gray. Now I'm going to click record, and here it goes. You can see the line moving across, forward across the timeline, and you can see something going on there. A little bit of red showing up there. Okay, and I'm going to stop recording, and boom. I've got a little bit of an audio signal here. It's not very much. See that line there? That means nothing. There's some little waveforms there. They're very, very tiny. If I want them to get bigger, I've got to go into my preferences and turn up the input level on the laptop's internal microphone. That's no big deal. That's if you don't know how to do that, that's a learning curve for another time. But the bear dances. It might not be dancing loudly, but it dances. There is an audio signal that I've just recorded from my laptop's internal microphone. And therefore, I have achieved the bare minimum for recording audio into Cakewalk and having something to work with. Now, I don't need this track. I don't want it. This is just for demonstration purposes, so I'm going to left click on the channel and delete track. Boom, it's gone. Look, there's the asterisk, the star again next to the track, the project title. Save. Boom. The star is gone. The asterisk is gone. We're back to the beginning. Okay, I don't know if I enabled audio for this recording. Don't know if I enabled that. Oh, I'm still learning how to also manipulate this podcasting software here. Let me try this. Oh yeah, this is what I kind of plan to do in the future here. My cell phone is my camera. Right, so in the future I can do this. Not that this is necessarily a good idea, but anyway, that's the bare minimum. A laptop, hopefully fairly recent laptop with a decent sound card and an internal microphone and Cakewalk. You got that, you can begin tracking and mixing. You're profoundly limited in many ways with that, but it's a start. And any start is a good start. Any start is a start with lots and lots of potential for fun to be had and progress to be made, both as a budding audio engineering enthusiast and as a human being. So, should I stop here? No, I'm going to go ahead and just finish this out with the next step would be an external microphone. I'm going to step up to the camera here and show you Let me see. Let me go back to my. Make this bigger again so I can see myself. And yeah, all right. There's the back of the microphone. There's the front of the microphone. All right. This is not. There are very well-known. This is a USB microphone, which I highly recommend for all beginners. It's a great entry-level microphone. It's plug and play. There's just zero bullshit involved. You plug it in. There's no drivers to install. It's all plug and play. You plug it in. You figure out how to adjust the audio input in your. I'm running Windows 10. That's going to change from this coming Saturday. I'll probably have Windows 11. Or you could be on Apple, whatever. Okay. You got to sort of figure out how to adjust the input settings, and there's a little bit of a learning curve with that. But otherwise, it's plug and play. This is actually a gaming microphone and a streaming microphone made by a Korean. I live in South Korea, have for a long, long time. This is primarily a streaming and gaming microphone, but it is quite adequate and serviceable for audio recording. Is it the best in the world? No, obviously not. There's always better and finer things out there. Is this perfectly good for the home audio recording enthusiast? Yes, in spades. The great thing about this, here's the box. You see, Titan Studio Pro. There's not much information about this on the English language internet. To learn about it, I had to go on the Korean internet. This is a Korean company, and the most beautiful thing about this is I found this at Korea's version of, let's say, like a Walmart, a really nice Walmart. It's called E-Mart. And I didn't have, I was just getting back into this whole thing. And I had another USB microphone that I got. Sorry about that. I don't have a pop filter on here right now. We'll talk about that later. I had an old USB mic that I got like 16 years ago. It wasn't working anymore. It died. And I was trying to figure out how to fix it. Matter of fact, I had suspected that it was the USB jack that had gone kaput. I was trying to figure out how to locate a replacement. And then one day I was in this store called E-Mart, and lo and behold, I happened upon, in the computer accessories section, I happened upon this Titan Studio Pro. The company was discontinuing this model, and I picked this up for 13,000 Korean won, which is about $10 US. And there were two left in the store. I bought both of them, and I sent one to my younger brother in the United States because he is interested in learning home audio recording. So I sent him one. Again, you can see on the side, maybe I should turn on the light here. You can see on the side there, it says streamers, gamers, but it also says musicians. Okay. Right? Again, is it totally optimal for music? No. There are far nicer, more expensive, technically better even in the USB microphone world, there are other options that are more expensive and probably better in terms of specs and all that stuff. But nothing that you would notice the difference as a just doing what we're doing. This is fine. This is a condenser microphone. If you don't know what the difference between a condenser and a dynamic microphone, just the thing to understand is condenser microphones are, they're more sensitive, and they're ideal for things like vocals and acoustic instruments. They're ideal for studio recording. Although dynamic mics, when you see a concert, a live show, the musicians on stage are all using dynamic microphones. And there are reasons for that. And there are uses for dynamic microphones in the studio as well. You mic a guitar amp, for example. High output speakers. Generally, you use dynamic mics for reasons. But if you're looking for one go-to mic for your home studio, you want a condenser. There are large diaphragm condensers and small diaphragm condensers. This is a large diaphragm condenser. This is something like 4 or 5 centimeters. How many inches that is? What is that? 2 inches maybe? And large diaphragm, small diaphragm. Large diaphragms have applications. Small diaphragm condensers have applications. Ideally, you'd have both. You'd have a good large diaphragm condenser. You'd have a good small diaphragm condenser. Small diaphragm condensers are useful for things like miking acoustic guitars, drum kits. If you look in a studio, you see a mic'd drum setup. You'll see like little overhead mics over the cymbals. They're generally kind of these pencil mics. They're thin. They're small condenser mics. But for general home studio recording, you're using this mostly for vocals, occasionally, acoustic instruments. This is fine for acoustic instruments as long as you know how to use it for that purpose. I'll be getting into that later. Anyway, so you got your laptop with the internal mic. You've got Cakewalk. You can begin. Find yourself any sort of USB condenser mic, external mic, that you can afford. And I guarantee you, you're going to be delighted with it. Okay? You can get on the internet and knock yourself off reading about reviews and comparisons and all that. I wouldn't bother with that. I saw this for $10 US, and it was a no-brainer. I knew that it was. I knew I was going to be delighted with it, and I was, and still am. So here's the next step: a USB condenser mic for gaming and podcasting. It's perfectly serviceable for home audio music recording. All right, what else? Obviously, beyond that, musical instruments. Your primary musical instrument is your voice. Well, I guess if you want to sing or do vocals of any kind. Maybe you don't want to do that. It depends on who you are. Everything that you hear in my tracks so far is drum machine, human voice, my voice, and guitars. Guitars through various effects. I've got 2 guitars that I'm using these days. This is my workhorse. This is almost every guitar track that you hear is this guitar here. This is a no-name Korean guitar that was hand-built by an old Korean grandpa in a city called Uijeongbu, north of Seoul. It's quite special, actually. If you know anything about guitars, this is the shape of the body. This is what's known as a Yamaha SG. And this old Korean grandpa luthier, he chose to make a Yamaha SG, his own version of it. And you can see, I'm going to hold this up to the microphone. You can see, can you see the inlay? It's quite special inlay, very Korean. They have this lacquer furniture here, really old school lacquer furniture. With they use mother of pearl inlay on that furniture, and that's what that is. And the name of the guitar is called Sejong, named after probably the most famous Korean king, the king that is said to have invented the Korean Hangul alphabet, King Sejong. This is my workhorse guitar. I use it, all the sounds, 98% of the instrumental audio in my tracks comes from this guitar. This is also another no-name Korean guitar made by Korean luthier in the city of Bucheon, which is kind of between Seoul and Incheon. And you can see that it's got a sound hole that looks like a dog's paw print. It's a thin-bodied acoustic. And if you don't know how to use it properly, it can have an absolutely wretched, harsh, grating sound to it. Which is why I installed a magnetic sound hole pickup. I installed a piezo pickup in the saddle, the saddle or bridge. I forget what this thing right here. There's a piezo pickup installed. There's a preamp and a equalizer for that pickup. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you will. I've used this sparingly, but it's another tool in the kit. It's another brush, and so I've got two guitars that I mainly use. I've got others that I'm not using nowadays, but so instruments. If you have instruments that you somewhat know how to play, that's obviously another good thing to have in a home studio. And if you have acoustic instruments and you've got the external USB mic, you can track your instrument tracks through the external USB mic. If you have, this guitar is an electric guitar, you can't just plug it straight into the computer sound card. You can't just plug it straight into the computer. You either need to plug it into an amplifier and mic the amplifier with the mic, or you need an audio interface. So that's the next step, an audio interface of some kind. This right here that I'm pointing to with the glowing blue screen, this is an audio interface. The guitar is not plugged into it right now, but here, right there is I'll do another video on this audio interface in short order, but plug the guitar into this audio interface. It has a USB output, goes into the computer sound card via USB, and this allows me to track directly from my guitar, well, not directly, but more or less directly from my electric guitar into the sound card into the Cakewalk DAW. And having a good audio interface, in the case of this one, it's about a lot more than simply connecting an electric guitar to the DAW. Okay, This particular audio interface, this is my studio in a box. You don't see too much going on here. You see my guitars, you see this little black box audio interface, you see my microphone, you see my cuppy cup Coke Zero, my monitor speakers, my monitor, my mic stand. That's about it. But this I fear the day that this thing dies, because then I've got to replace it with something, and it's not going to be easy to replace, let me tell you. Okay, anyway, that's the basics of getting yourself set up to record and manipulate and mix and play around with recorded audio waveforms. I've gone on way longer than I thought I would, but so be it. If you've watched this far, then you must obviously have an interest in all this, and please subscribe and be on the lookout for new videos. I have committed myself to making content for this channel on the daily, sometimes more than once a day. I've decided that I'm not going to give a rat's ass whether it grows, how fast it grows. I don't care about quantity, how many people are watching. I don't give a flying F word about Spotify and getting well. I don't care about any of that. It's all bullshit. It's all almost everything nowadays is a big scam. We've got AI coming up. We're entering the belly of the beast in many ways. This is simply my attempt to, if I could find a small community of like-minded souls who are just interested in camaraderie and self-improvement and exploration of a fascinating realm of creativity and imaginative adventure. We're dealing with frequencies here. The universe that we live in is a universe of frequencies. We're working with frequencies. And it's way more, not to get philosophical or new agey or anything, but it's powerful stuff. And especially if you're coming off of alcohol dependency, or you're thinking about it, you have been in an extremely low vibrational state for a very long time, probably. And rising up out of it is hard. And all too often it goes unappreciated and unacknowledged by the people around you that you would most expect to be appreciative of it. Often they're not. And I'm not going to spin off into all that. I will at some point. But I hope to create a space where even if I find a dozen other people on the planet who enjoy getting into this stuff and being creative, just think about the bare minimum. Think about getting up and running. Think about getting a waveform onto your monitor screen, playing around with it. Don't think about Spotify, or you don't think about... Yeah, I'm going to do a little video on goals and expectations. If you find any kind of resonance with this, please it sounds like a typical YouTube dork. Like and subscribe and leave a comment, but I mean that. Like, subscribe. You don't have to like, whatever. I don't care about algorithms. I don't give a shit about any of that. But I do care, like, if you could subscribe and especially leave a comment. Reach out and leave a comment. Even if you're in a bad mood and you leave a dick comment, that's okay. I've left dick comments. I do that. I shit post all the time. Not all the time anymore. I actually don't, but I have. And whatever, leave a comment and I'll answer. And I'll be posting another video soon. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. I am the alcoholic audio engineer. Peace from Paju, South Korea, 5 kilometers south of the North Korean border, where all hell could break loose at any moment. Not, but maybe. All right, over and out. You might be wondering why my mouse pad is on the left, to the left of my keyboard when I'm right-handed. I'll explain that at another time. Okay, talk again soon.